Hello aspirants, welcome back to Where IAS. So, we started with Indian polity. In Indian polity, we started with the very important topic that is fundamental rights. In fundamental rights, I said these are the topics that is to be covered. The first thing is we must know the meaning of right. At the same time, we must know the difference between right and privilege. And also, it is important to understand the difference between the constitutional rights, fundamental rights and statutory rights, and we must know the importance and the characteristics of fundamental rights. Next thing we studied is the classification of fundamental rights. In classification of fundamental rights, I said there are 6 fundamental rights. Earlier there were 7 fundamental rights, but the right to property was removed. We had already covered all these topics in our previous video lectures. That is, for now we shall understand that there are 6 fundamental rights. The first is right to equality. Second we have is right to freedom. Third is right against exploitation. Fourth we have right to freedom of religion. Fifth is cultural and educational rights. And at the last we have right to constitutional remedies. So the first fundamental right I said is right to equality, which we have already covered in our previous video lectures. And also we have covered right to freedom, right against exploitation. We had started with right to freedom of religion in our previous video lecture, and this right I said it includes articles 25 to 28. We had already studied about article 25. I said when we study about article 25, there are 4 points to be noted. That is, the first thing is we must study about the rights that article 25 is providing for. That is, article 25 provides right to conscience, profess, practice and propagate religion. Yes, it is giving these rights, but these rights are not absolute. That is, these can be restricted on what grounds? That is, it can be restricted on the grounds of public order, health, morality and other fundamental rights. And the third point when we study about article 25, we understand is that it is giving powers to the state to make laws. That is to regulate any activity of a religious institute, and also it is giving powers to state to make laws with respect to the social welfare or the reforms of Hindus. So I said it is about Hindus. Here we must understand the meaning of the term Hindus with reference to article 25. That is, here Hindus not the term Hindus here in article 25, it is not just about Hindus but also it covers Buddhists, Sikhs and Jains. So, and also I said about the Kirpans of Sikhs. That is, the Kirpans of Sikhs is nothing but it is about the profession of Sikh religion. That is, it is the Kirpans speaks about the Sikh religion. So, it is the part of the profession of Sikh religion. So, all these things we had already covered in our previous video lectures. Now, let's start with Article 26. Article 26 is providing rights. For what? It is providing rights for the religious denominations. Now, it's important to understand the meaning of the word religious denominations. So, here religious denominations is nowhere defined in Constitution, but the definition of religious denomination was given by Supreme Court in Shirur mutt case. Then, what is the meaning of religious denomination? Religious denomination is any religious group with unique identity. It will be having its own different traditions and also it will be self-financed. So, this religious group, then it will be called as religious denomination. That is what Supreme Court said in Shirur mutt case. Now, let's understand Article 26. Article 26 is providing rights for religious denominations. So, what are those rights? It is giving 2 rights. The first thing is, it tells that is religious denominations can establish a religious institution for religious or charitable purpose and administer such institutions in matters of religion. That is, the first right is, it simply is providing religious denominations rights to establish a religious institution and administer such institutions. And the second right it is providing for us, religious denominations, it can acquire movable and immovable property and administer such property. That is, the second right is, it is providing religious denominations the right to acquire property. So, these are the 2 rights that Article 26 is providing for. That is, the first right is, it can establish the religious institutions, and the second right is it can acquire the property. This is about Article 26 and the rights it is providing for religious denominations. And also, while acquiring and administering the properties of religious denominations, this has to be in accordance with law. If any illegal activity is found in such religious denominations, then that property will be immediately seized. That is to be also noted. We already studied about the religious denominations and the definition that Supreme Court gave in Shirur mutt case. So I said Shirur mutt case is the case where Supreme Court defined the meaning of religious denominations. And also Shirur mutt case is important for one more thing. So Shirur mutt case is important for two things. First thing is it defines about the religious denominations, and also Shirur mutt case defined about the doctrine of essentiality. Now, it's important to understand the meaning of doctrine of essentiality. Doctrine of essentiality is very important to understand when the differences exist between the religious customs or the rituals and the fundamental rights. Take for example, if any religious customs or ritual is violating fundamental rights, then how can that dispute be resolved is what the doctrine of essentiality speaks about. That is, it simply says that if the religious custom or ritual is the essential part of religion, then that religious custom can be upheld even if it is violating the fundamental right. So here the religious custom or the ritual is having the upper hand than the fundamental rights, because the religious custom or ritual is called as the essential part of religion. So if it is the essential part of religion, then that religious custom or ritual, even though violating fundamental right, then that will be upheld. That is what is the doctrine of essentiality is providing for, and this doctrine of essentiality was given by Supreme Court in Shirur mutt case. And this is about Article 26. For the later fundamental rights, keep watching Vyara IAS, and also please share, subscribe Vyara IAS.